Hello, and welcome to the Business Spotlight. This is an initiative to help businesses connect to businesses. We're going to highlight great companies that you may not know about yet. The goal is to help expand your network and share some of our favorite resources. So listen to Spotlights, broaden your community, and discover how businesses utilize technology to achieve success. To do that, though, you need to keep listening. Let's dive right in. Hello and welcome to our Business Spotlight feature. Today I have Jon Hawker with twineIT, and I'm going to let him lead off by just introducing himself, telling us a bit more about what he does and about twineIT itself. So if you don't mind, Jon?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Jon Hawker. I'm one of the founders of twineIT. We aggregate multimedia. It doesn't sound real sexy, but when it comes down to it, what we're doing on a day-to-day basis is we've created a technology platform that allows us to take photos, take animated GIFs, boomerangs, and even looking at video now and aggregating that. And the way that looks in the real world is we kind of started off as a photo booth. And so the photo booth business was kind of the early concept and one of the things that we pursued for a number of years. And then what we realized is we were collecting a lot of information that was important to businesses for marketing purposes. And so somewhere along the way, a couple of years back, we started exploring a little more deeply into putting the technology into restaurants and bars, maybe even retail environments and a couple other places, which allowed us to collect some information on the customers that are coming through the door and allow us to communicate with those people on behalf of our clients so they can let them know what's going on, make announcements about specials, sales, that type of thing. So it really became a brand engagement and marketing platform. And it's pretty multifaceted actually at that point because not only are we collecting some information and people are taking some photos, but they're sharing those photos with branding for the locations. And so, it's become a pretty good opportunity. It's been an interesting transition here with COVID, and maybe we can get into that, when you're ready to have that part of the conversation.
Yeah. So I'm curious, what year did you start this again?
So we started in 2012. My co-founder actually had a concept of aggregating photos using the cloud. And when we first started telling people, what we were doing and talked about the cloud, no one really knew what that was. 2012 is really the front end of that type of concept. And it all started on the mobile, like on your iPhone in particular at that time. And then as the iPad specifically came out with a camera on the front side, it really changed the game for us and allowed us to look at that kind of entertainment, event-based engagement because we were able to set up a separate device that allowed us to take the photo and then we passed it through the cloud into a gallery on people's phones. So just took that fun aspect of people being able to collect photos from an event, whether that was shot on their phone or shot through the little photo booth experience, and put it into a consolidated gallery, with no regard to if you were Android or iOS or whatever it happened to be.
It was probably interesting launching it back then because people were like, what are you talking about?
It was interesting. Even, like I said, even just saying the word the cloud confused people. And social networking was sort of still in its earlier phases. And so, just getting your hands around getting people to leverage their phones in a different way. So it was kind of a, I guess, paradigm shifter for a lot of people as we were talking to them about what we were doing, just trying to get them to understand the concept of, how we got the photos from here to there and what the technology was that we needed to develop behind that in order to get it launched.
So I'm curious, what were the main platforms, like the main social media platforms that were out back then?
You were dealing with like your Facebook and your Twitter. MySpace was sort of in its kind of winding-ish down, whatever it happened to be. 2012 was sort of the front end. The iPhone was really the launch of social media. Like people were doing it for years, a couple of years ahead of that. It'd all be based around your laptop or your computer. then when you put that into people's hands, that ability to instantly upload and talk about what they were doing, what they were up to, that's really when social media in general skyrocketed, when everything was able to be done, in real time.
And I'm curious too, because coming out of Toledo, we tend to be known more like with the manufacturing and things like that. So what was it like launching a company that's so tied around this idea of the cloud and social media in an area like this that maybe is not always one of the forerunners?
Yeah, that's a loaded question. To boot, let me say to boot, we are also not like, when you think about technology startups, you're thinking about like the 20-year-old kid who's cranking away in their basement for 23 hours a day drinking Red Bull and, that kind of situation. So we were middle-aged family men that were trying to launch a technology company in a traditionally blue-collar manufacturing-based town. Now, there were a few forward-thinking people in the area, and we actually got hooked up earlier on with the University of Toledo and kind of went through their incubator, or a version of their incubator that was going back then. And we've continued to be engaged with them, and they did some investing in us, and then we were also able to bring on some other people who believed in the project. Again, not what you traditionally think about as an investor in technology, because, well, we were in an area that doesn't have like Sequoia and some of these other like large VC firms. So we were really doing the grinding out a family and friends type of a raise for some equity so we can boot this thing off, and then anchored by the University of Toledo's early on investment and a little bit of guidance on them from them. So.
And obviously it worked because you're here today.
It's not without its ups and downs.
Yeah.
Startups are a challenge, and most of them last, I think, 2 years. We're now in year 8, and in an awkward year 8 at the very best. But we've continued to innovate. We've continued to try to push the boundaries and find new ways to use our existing platform. We've pivoted. Like I said, we started out kind of really focused on that, photo booth activation in events, and then we really started exploring what it looked like to be more of a marketing tool with the restaurants and bars. And, now we're looking at some other opportunities to, if you think about us, just kind of really step back and go 50,000 feet as we're an aggregating technology. We collect information on people. We collect analytics about what's going on, how those people are engaging with a brand. There are actually quite a bit of different opportunities that we have. We just have to reposition our marketing. We have to reposition our kind of our story as to like, we're not just taking photos and having fun, but we can use it for something different.
Now, that kind of leads into the idea of, like you said, 2020 is a funky spot for any business, but how has it impacted you? Like, what are you looking at as far as projects and focus right now?
So, events and restaurants pretty much blew us up. Like, everything kind of came to a screeching halt in March, and we pressed the pause button for a little while on the actual traditional events and traditional type of work that we were doing. Restaurants closed their doors for a while. Events completely ceased. I will say that we're slightly seeing a little bit of light. We've got these all around the country. The photo booth version of it is all around the country with different people who go out and do events. And not every state handled the shutdowns the same. They all slowed down. But we were able to take some advantage of the government assistance to try to wait it out. So we did that. We worked really hard to reduce our overhead costs, asked for a lot of leniency from the people that we work with, whether that be Verizon or the banks or whatever. Other people that have extended us some leniency just to reduce our overhead costs and give us a little bit more runway to get through this process, utilizing some of the government funds. And now we've seen a little bit of that turn back on. So the short story on that is it was really pretty scary for a little bit, from the standpoint that we didn't have a lot of light at the end of the tunnel, and still just kind of getting some peaks of that. We are bringing a few of our restaurants back online, even if it's at some sort of limited capacity. But now what we're doing is again, okay, we aggregate information. So what is another way that we can aggregate information is through feedback. And so we can use that for either video feedback, photo feedback. We can take this information, aggregate it, and deliver it back to someone that may need to receive feedback, and that's very important for them. Whether that's making quick service recovery type things. Okay, we got a piece of feedback. We need to reach back out to this person and handle that situation. We can do it through that particular way, or even long-term process improvement, where you receive the same type of feedback a few times. Then you can start looking at, okay, what's going on? And we can make some process improvements, test that, and see if we can shift that quickly, in order to get out in front of that, not have that piece of feedback come in again as the same way for the same thing, like a department is handling something in a way that's not working. Well, it's not necessarily about something is being done right or wrong. It's what's working, what's not working. And really, feedback is a gift in that respect, that you learn what's not working, and then you can make some changes, and we can test it real quickly. So we've been having some conversations with the healthcare industry in particular around this. They have not slowed down. So we've taken a look at some opportunities to leverage our technology of aggregating information, collecting analytics, being really a contributor to the big data kind of scenario, because we can collect a lot of information very quickly in real time, create a process by which we digest that information for them through computer learning, AI, and that type of thing, and spit it back out to them in a way that they can take some action. So it's in its sort of ideation still. We're still exploring it with a couple different partners to see what we can do. But I think our hypothesis that we could leverage our technology to create value for healthcare, retail, some of these different, even restaurants and bars, some of these different types of organizations, has transitioned into something that looks more like creating a more robust platform that we can not only do the video stuff, but we can take information from other systems, put them all together, and create a consolidated aggregation point of data, and then send that data out the back end with some actionable things that you can look at, test, and then reset and try to improve your whatever your measure is.
Mm-hmm. That's that side of things that businesses are going to have naturally a more difficult time doing, because they're not in business to do that.
They aren't, and at the end of the day, a lot of technologies, you can get 10 different technologies, but the data that they collect end up being siloed. And so one of the main objectives that we have is not only taking our data, bringing it into our system and getting it out in a meaningful way, but also taking data from other systems and either replacing it or just bringing it in so they could all be in a single data set, which we can then spit out the backside with in a meaningful way. So they're not in the business of, most companies are not in the business, they're in the business of making French fries or healing people. Mm-hmm. And so, we're trying to really develop a modular platform that can, support them in helping them make informed decisions quickly.
That's really cool. So how you're starting kind of working towards this, right?
Yeah.
Working towards that.
I mean, we're almost approaching this as a startup. We've got the infrastructure, we've got an architecture, but what we're developing is a very different than our traditional, business platform that we've been working on for the past 8 years or so. So it's definitely something where we're kind of looking at it with fresh eyes, and we'll see where that leads us. We're getting close to the point where we feel like that we've developed an internal and external business cases, so we can start talking to other people. We've talked to some of my existing clients, for example. We work with McDonald's, a McDonald's franchisee, and so we're talking with them a little bit about, okay, what do your systems look like in the restaurant world? Are they siloed? You think of McDonald's, it's like this finely run, finely tuned machine, but it turns out a lot of their systems, specifically around feedback, are not all tied together. So, maybe we found ourselves a little niche that we can get in there and create a few different opportunities and values for people that are looking to increase their amount and the quality of the feedback that they're receiving.
Mm-hmm. And franchises are kind of interesting in that they may be tied to the bigger unit, but it's tended to be run on the local level, or there's that owner.
For sure, and some have more tightly run ships than others. Like McDonald's tends to be very tightly run, with very, you don't have a lot of leeway in there. We work with another franchise here in Toledo called Hamburger Mary's. They are recent to the area. They're kind of a family-friendly drag burger joint. So they're located over at the docks, and it's a really fun place. Well, we've had a location in there, in that location since their grand opening, and another franchisee called us the other day. We installed, and their grand opening is actually today. So exciting to have, get the referral from the existing franchisee into a new franchise, and they've got a number of locations around the country. So there's maybe some opportunities there for us to get it through that franchise, create some value there just through the entertainment part. But talking with McDonald's, again, kind of circling back, there's some opportunity with them within that franchise world. They have a little bit of control, and corporate knows about us, so it makes it a little nervous because, but they, some of the I guess, corporate decision makers have taken pictures in our photo station and said it was a really great local store marketing type thing that they could do to connect with their customers. So we've gotten the soft blessing from even McDonald's.
And that's a hard one. They're huge.
They are not easy to get yourself into. We're very fortunate to have met someone that is a very forward-thinking franchisee, and also sits on a number of the marketing and customer engagement boards at corporate level. So she's been a fantastic guide for us, and a good partner in developing this for what I'll refer to as limited service restaurants, which is that walk-in restaurant. And I'll say as a side note, that was an interesting thing. We weren't sure how customers in limited service restaurants would behave. Bars seemed obvious. College bars even more obvious. People that want to commemorate their experience in a very specific kind of way. But it turns out that limited service restaurant has been great, and we get quite a few people to come in and engage with the photo station and opt into the marketing communication.
Wow. Well, I can kind of see that, and especially like McDonald's. But it's really cool. Especially, I'm excited to see that opportunity kind of flowering for you, but also some of these new ones popping up. So, you've seen. This has probably been you're one of the businesses that have obviously been hit extremely hard by these times. And so to see you kind of take it and start to turn it into a positive and overcome things that's not just been, oh, we're going to go home, we're going to take the business home. There's been a lot more complexity to it. So with that being said, of course, your business is based on technology, but what technology do you use to support that business?
Sure. Well, software as a service, which is SaaS, a lot of people probably know that. We use a lot of that. So from a technology kind of like back office technology, we use a lot of SaaS like Slack, Trello, and a lot of the different software platforms, QuickBooks Online, to allow us to really operate the back end. Front end, like hardware style. Obviously, we use something to take a picture, and that's, in our particular case, that's an iPad. And we've integrated our software iPad technology, which is called Twine Studio, which takes the photos, into a LED ring light. And so there's this beautiful LED ring light that sort of catches your attention. We'll call it an attractor. Catches people's eye. They're like, oh, what's that thing? Oh, I can see myself. Oh, I can take a picture. So we get them involved. We've actually, through Bluetooth technology, integrated when you take a photo, when you hit the do a snapshot button, it'll actually change the LED ring light from a rainbow colored or some like red and blue flames into white to give you the white hue that you want on your face when you're taking a photo, and allows the iPad to adjust to that lighting and take a better photo for you. So we've done some of that, and then really our software platform is dealing with Android and iOS devices. So Apple devices and name it any Samsung or whatever device that's running Android on it. So we have mobile apps for that, and we've even leveraged the cloud for printing. So in an occasion where you'd want to print a 4x6 photo at an event, we've created a cloud-based print server that we attach to a real fancy printer that you would see at like the Walgreens or whatever that do the printing. We use a miniature version of that and the cloud. So if you take a picture, you say print, it can be anywhere on the planet as long as you're running that print server, and it will print. So if I hit print on the iPad and the printer happens to be in Guam, it'll print within 2 or 3 seconds at that location, no matter where it is in the world, as long as I have internet connections.
Wow.
So pretty cool piece of technology, which allows us to do some pretty creative things with the printing, in a retail establishment or even at a sporting event. We've used it at museums and that type of thing where, you take a picture and then you can pick it up in the gift shop, for example, which encourages people to go in the gift shop, which encourages people to maybe pick up a jersey or whatnot. So there's some creative things we can do with that sort of cloud-based printing where we don't have to be in proximity to where the camera is actually located.
Mm-hmm. It'll help move people into the secondary area, like a gift shop, or sometimes just get them away from the one area so they're not crowding it.
Yeah, pick up, here's your free photo. Go pick it up in the gift shop, spend $50 on a jersey, whatever. Yep. So it's really supporting the entire, kind of retail part of the operation for those types of places.
Probably helps right now, too, is those places that are starting to open up and do more that you can maintain social distancing. And
Of course, yeah.
So.
We're, obviously very cognizant of that and working very hard to try to let our technology, work within the scope of that. And so, it's a little tricky, but we're working hard to try to create some features that allow us to do that.
That's good. All right. So we've talked a lot about what you do in your tech strategy. Why work with you particularly versus going somewhere else and finding a similar product or a similar service? What do you feel is your favorite part that is alluring to consumers about twineIT?
Well, locally here, we have a rental service. Like if people wanted to rent us for a wedding, we've done tons of not-for-profit events. We've partnered up with, the March of Dimes. We've partnered up with Boys and Girls Club, and many, many other, not-for-profit events who've been great throughout the years. And we create a really great experience at those. So the not-for-profit world and the private event world is, if you're just wanting to rent a photo booth, that has it. We do have a couple even people that utilize our platform locally for their own business and events. So certainly welcome to work with them as well. They're great and they do a fantastic job. In general, if we're looking at like the restaurant side of things, if you're looking to communicate with your customers, if you're looking to create a fun, engaging experience for your customers, if you're looking to capture imagery for your social media and other marketing platforms, I mean, this is what we're really dialing in on. If you're looking to, be able to send text messages through that communication, these are the types of things that we've been focusing a lot of our energy on because, we really bring a lot of value to those operations because, if you think about pandemic in particular, COVID's going on, those people that had lists were able to communicate with their customers and let them know we're still open. We're open in these hours. We've started doing curbside pickup. So being able to communicate with your customers, and you're not just communicating. It's not like you're buying a list of people. Like sometimes you buy lists when you're doing marketing, and you're like sending out blasts to these lists, and you're hoping a few of the people will respond. Like these are your customers. These are people that have come to your place, experienced your place. If twineIT's involved, we've provided them a fun, engaging, commemorative moment. Now you can just have a conversation with them and you get them involved in that conversation and you let them know and you drive traffic back through your door. And that's really the key to what we're up to is driving traffic back through the door. So, again, looking at kind of the two sides of the coin, events are fun, and when events are going back on, we have these cloud-based galleries, so you can take the photos at the event, and off at someone in another country that you couldn't invite or couldn't make it could be looking at the photo gallery and enjoying themselves. Looking at that restaurant side, that's I think where we bring the most value right now, which is just getting people in the door, allowing us to work with you guys to communicate with them, and that's ringing the register, and that's the most important thing.
All right. Thank you for that. Anything else that you would like to touch on before we wrap up here?
I really appreciate the opportunity to come sit down with you guys and chat about what we're up to. It's been a challenging time, but we're working our tails off to try to keep the dream alive. If anybody has any questions, they certainly, hopefully you'll just post some information about how to reach out to us, but you can give us a call, you can shoot us an email, and we'd be happy to answer your questions and see if we can support you.
Yep. So we will add in all of Jon's contact information, everything that you need to know about twineIT, in our blog post that we're going to create. And if you wish to follow up, I definitely recommend that, as well as just kind of touch base, learn more about their company through this. This has been a great conversation. Yeah. So I want to thank you, Jon, for coming on, and I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Thank you.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thank you.